And we are live. This is Highly Articulated. I am Adam. It has been a chaotic weekend. It's been busy. We've got tons to talk about. I had a guest scheduled today. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. Chris Diagnostic 80 from Full Force Podcast was supposed to be with us. Unfortunately, he was too busy with GI Joe stuff. Which I won't get into, but I know why he can't make it. But my good buddy and a not even a substitute, an alternate starter, I think is probably the best way to describe him. Austin, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. I'm a little drained from the last 48 hours, if I'm being perfectly honest. There was there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to get into.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot that we're not even going to talk about because it was like there was so much peripheral information going on this weekend. We may touch on it a little bit if we have time at the end. But today we're primarily going to go over the Hasbro PulseCon online YouTube toy convention, fan fest, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. We got lots of reveals. We got lots of stuff up for pre-order. Where to start?
So much good stuff.
I mean, I hope you guys have scheduled like 3 or 4 hours because that's probably how. No, I'm just kidding. we're gonna shoot for an hour. There's definitely stuff from PulseCon that I'm not into, so we'll touch on it. And if anybody's watching that wants to sort of comment on it, I'm happy to engage because I'm always curious what people's reactions are to certain things that I don't know anything about. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. eCollectibles. Aaron is hanging out. Aaron, welcome. You did the GI Joe brand panel watch along with me in the GI Joe Northern Outpost group, which was a ton of fun. We will touch on a lot of the stuff that we talked about yesterday as well. But happy to have you, buddy, and hope you're not bored having already had these discussions with me already on video. Let's start with pickups. I love to start with pickups, even when we're busy, because it's just fun, right? That's what we're doing. That's what we're here for, right? Is getting new stuff, getting new toys. And if we have time at the end, I may go deep on turtlenecks. I'm just warning everybody. Austin, did you pick up anything this week?
Yeah, so
was it a Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat figure?
Okay, well, here's the thing. Just had Toy Fair at in Victoria, near where I live. I probably grabbed probably around 50 to 60 figures. Yeah, there was a table there that had like Black Series figures still in box, new stuff for like $10 a pop. So I went nuts.
Dang, I wish I'd known that. There's a couple that I still need that I've missed, but oh well. 50 or 60 figures?
Yeah, I'll send you the pictures after. It's pretty.
No, intense. You got to go through all of them, one at a time.
I'll grab the stuff that's within reach. I already opened up this one, but I grabbed the new Marvel Legends Sentry.
Yeah,
looks fantastic.
That's a great figure.
It's so good. My only gripe of it is pins. I mean, they've given us pinless before, so I've seen pins now. I'm like, yeah, but still, fantastic figure. This one, because you mentioned Storm Collectibles, I got this from our friend Kelly. Sub-Zero.
Now your shelf is getting so full that I saw that there's a little like you have to very carefully pull the figures off.
Yes, he was kind of behind with Taro, so I had to kind of angle him properly, and there we go. And I'll grab the next closest thing because again, there's just too much to grab. Yeah. But fellow Knight of the North, Larry, he was there with a table. And so this was oh yeah. So this was one of the legions I grabbed from him, Magnus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he had it for a very reasonable price. I went back again today, and I grabbed Vorthog from him as well.
Hmm.
And then beyond that, some Marvel Legends and a whole lot of Black Series and Vintage Collection.
Oh, yeah,
Three and
the
three
4-inch
quarter
figure.
scale.
Yeah. Lots of people talk about how great those are for photography. Just the smaller ones,
Yeah.
you can go a little more elaborate with dials and stuff like that and stuff. So yeah.
Normally, I don't like the price of them because after tax, they're over $20. But again, table $10 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Grab what I could.
Well, yeah. I mean, at those prices, right? Like, and that's the thing. I think a lot of us, especially in Canada, where shipping charges can be pretty outrageous. Like you'll sometimes come across a figure that's on Marketplace or in a group or whatever, where the figure's 10 or 15 or $20, but after shipping, it's $137. So it doesn't really make much sense. But when you can get those local pickups at toy shows or comic conventions or whatever, it's sort of always a bonus. But
Absolutely.
50 or 60?
It, I went a little ham, admittedly, but I mean, once you see those price tags, and there's you can still find them at Walmart or Toys R Us for $35 to $45. It was like, yeah, I'm
True.
just grabbing everything I could find.
True. Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally understand. Um, that's I you talk about 10 bucks at a 10 or 15 bucks at a toy convention. This guy went up on GameStop $5 Fridays.
Awesome.
I already have one,
Oh, really?
but it's his head works as like a barbecue in the GI Joe classified. It works pretty
Smart.
well as that. And I don't like to steal things from figure. I like to have sort of a double for stealing parts. And at $5, I couldn't pass it up. I also got, which I'm not going to show on camera because it's way bigger than I thought it would be. But there was a Vegeta like fleece blanket, and it wasn't even $5. It was like $4.23. I think it was $5 after tax. And funny thing, I brought it home, and my wife was like, "Why did you buy that?" And I was like, "It was less than $5." She was like, "Was there more?" And I said, "Yes, but I only need one."
Just sometimes when you see the price tag, you're like, yeah, why not?
Look, there's a lot of people that live here. Things get ruined, blankets get things spilled on them. For $5 for a fleece blanket, I'll take it. I don't care who's on it. I also got in the mail. So this was a pre-order, so I knew it was coming. I just didn't expect it yet, and I've been so busy that I haven't been able to open it. A brown box
Ooh, it has a
full
Hasbro sign.
of. It's not full of. There are two Blue Ninjas in here. GI Joe Classified Blue
Nice.
Ninjas showed up. Very happy to get those. Looking forward to having time to open them. Also, because of the group sort of messaging and letting everybody know when stuff pops up, I was able to secure from Toys R Us online, because they've never been in the Kelowna Toys R Us, because it is a tier 3 Toys R Us and doesn't get anything on schedule. I got the Tiger Force Outback. The
Awesome.
only reason I haven't opened this is also because I just haven't had time. Too much other stuff going on. One other thing that I had going on, I got the remainder of my Alithia Wave Mythic Legions figures
Awesome.
from Mike at eCollectibles. And so I had to prioritize what got opened. Now here's a hint of what I opened. Can you guess? Can you guess by these giant horns? I finally got my Alder.
That's awesome.
He's so great, isn't he? He's big. He's a big boy. He's tall.
Gonna take a lot of real estate.
He's yeah, and the horns, the antlers are huge.
Wow.
This
Looks
is
looks incredible though.
oh, he is incredible. Like it's fantastic, and it just looks absolutely amazing, and it's fascinating what the Four Horsemen can do with a horse buck and convert it to a moose. He does look absolutely fantastic. Um, he is going to receive a place of pride on my shelf. I'm working on a custom GI Joe classified Mountie uh, to actually ride Alder as his sort of like mount. Um, I had hoped it would come together, for Canada this year, but with 4H not shipping as early as we thought, it's been sort of put off. So that'll be something that I've got sort of on the bench for next Canada Day. I think is now my goal, which gives me lots of time, which is great. Yeah, that's all that arrived in my mailbox. Let's get into all the things that are going to arrive in our
Oh yeah.
mailbox. We're just going to do Hasbro PulseCon, but I will mention now, and like I said, if we get time at the end, we may go over it. Four Horsemen revealed their figure obscura for this year, which was the Headless Horseman, which was of course a figure with a pumpkin head and a very evil looking horse. Mezco did a bunch of reveals and sort of releases this weekend. I'm not a Mez head. I think that's the appropriate term. So I was more focused on Hasbro than I was on Mezco, but that was going on. So there's a lot of empty wallets, I think.
Oh yeah. I think
Like,
New York Comic Con is also next weekend, so people are going to get hit again.
ouch.
Yeah.
Rough, man. That's rough. Like,
Pretty brutal.
but the thing is, I was trying to think of like when is a good time. Like um if you're trying to cash in, right? If you're one of these companies that's trying to sell something to people, is there a month anymore that there isn't something
I don't
dropping?
think so.
Is there a time of the year now where we're like, oh, I wish there was something I could buy? I don't think so.
There's always something. There's something coming out every week.
Yeah, it feels that way, hey? And I'll mention this too, because like I said, sort of right off the top, I pulled sort of all the reveals for sort of pre-orders and stuff like that. We're not going to go over like pipeline reveals and all that kind of stuff. But then after the fact, they were like, oh, and before we went live, we released this. And after we went live, we released this. And I was like, what's going on? There's just all this stuff. Larry's here. Larry, what's going on, buddy? I'm hoping that Larry may be able to lend some insight into some of the Transformer stuff, because I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know what I was looking at most of the time with the Transformer stuff. But that's a great segue. Let's try to get into it. I got a slideshow, and I'll see whether or not I can actually show it in such a way that it makes any sense at all on the screen, and it's not just and it's already not working for me. Hold on, bear with me.
No.
Talk amongst yourselves. Austin, did you watch the whole thing, or were you sort of just picking and choosing and sort of waiting for reveals to show up? Like, did you watch the YouTube video?
I just caught highlights at the end. I was at Toy Fair. Couldn't watch.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
Toys
Smart
going
man.
the way of toys.
There's a way to do this, and I forget every damn time. Oh, there we go. I think I think I figured it out. I'm disappointed in myself that I don't ever remember how to do this, but so we'll start with the preview show. So the preview show for GI Joe dropped a couple of bombshells. I didn't expect it to be anything more than like just a bunch of banter, but they did a couple name reveals. They revealed Tripwire, and I went in the wrong direction. We'll get to that. they revealed Hawk and Tripwire as the two name reveals for upcoming figures. I just sort of cut and pasted versions of these figures that I would like to see. With Hawk, it could go either way: version 1, version 2, or General Hawk version 1, also referred to as Hawk version 3. Um, I'd be happy for any of these. I think version 1, they've been doing a lot of version 1s. Version 2, I think, is the most iconic.
Yeah.
Version 3, I feel like they could have a lot of fun with. Austin, what are your thoughts on Hawk?
I definitely would prefer version 2. That's
Yeah.
the version that I've always known and I've always
Mhm,
loved. Not
mhm,
to say I wouldn't be unhappy with the other versions, especially with version 3 there. Like you said, that just looks like a
mhm,
lot of fun.
mhm.
But if I were to only own one Hawk figure, I would like it to be version 2.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of the prevailing sentiment, is that version 2 is easily the most iconic and
Yeah.
and the most sort of instantly recognizable. When people think of Hawk, that's the one that they think of. Um, Tripwire, for me, these are sort of the three main vintage versions that ever came out. I think version 1's a lock,
Yeah.
unless they do a Tiger Force pre-paint. I don't think we're going to see Listen and Fun this this one
I
here.
don't think so.
I don't think so. But strangely, I don't put it past them either, though. Having gotten the Tiger Force Outback first, um, I think they're willing to release figures like that. I just don't know. Maybe that might be a little bit too deep a cut, for a character like Tripwire. But who knows? Anyway, really looking forward to getting those figures in the line. This is. Do you know what this is?
It looks like an owl.
Well, it is in fact an owl bear. They talked a little bit about Dungeons and Dragons, the
Oh,
movie that's coming
cool.
out. The Honor Among Thieves, I think, is the title. When I watched the like, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy. I am looking forward to this movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As soon as I saw the owl bear, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I think in the trailer, the guy's like, "What is that?" And the one guy goes, "Owl bear." Like, it's just this nonchalant, like, yeah, that's just a thing that exists in this world. I'm really looking forward to the owl bear, amongst other things, in the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Um, Forgive me if it feels like we're just sort of rolling through the stuff, but then this is still pre-show, right? This is
Yeah.
Saturday or Friday morning before they even started. They announced Indiana Jones was going to be 6-inch scaled figures. They mentioned that some were going to be available for pre-order and others were going to be in the future. Um, I like Indiana Jones as a film franchise. I feel that I just felt like it's kind of a standalone property. I've never wanted toys from the franchise. What do you think of Indiana Jones? Big fan, or did you want the toys? Do you care about the toys?
Well, it's funny that you say, like, I grew up watching Indiana Jones. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not old enough to have watched in theaters, but I had the
Yeah.
VHS tapes, so I
Yeah.
watched them, and I love Indiana Jones. I remember watching it with my parents, and there were certain scenes they would have to make me leave the room because they felt it was too graphic. Um, so Indiana Jones has a soft spot, but I've never had the urge to have Indiana Jones figures.
Mhm.
With that being said, my biggest thing is when I start a line, I usually go, I'll get one or two figures and then snowballs. I
Yeah.
truly feel in this line, I can get Indiana Jones and I'll be happy
And be done.
and be done. I'd be more than happy to have one Indiana Jones figure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been chatting with a bunch of people, and that seems to be kind of the consensus, where like people are like, okay, well, I need Indiana Jones, but other
Yeah,
than that, there's like, for the most part, the villains weren't even that memorable. You know what I
no,
mean? Like, there wasn't like the fun of Indiana Jones was the adventure more so than it was the villains, right? Like,
Yeah,
um, and so I wonder if this line has any legs at all. It may be sort of like one wave, two waves, and done. It remains to be seen. I hope that everybody that's a big Indiana Jones fan that really wants figures from this property will get the figures, get the characters that they want. Um, I just don't know if this is the next Plasma series. You know, are we going to
yeah.
say see one or two waves and done? But we'll get to it. I mean, the Indiana Jones figure looks pretty good.
It does. It looks very good.
Yeah, and then they said, you know, that a lot of the Black Series is going to be Andor based for the reveals, which it definitely was. Andor is definitely a show that I've been enjoying, but again, not a huge Black Series collector, and I tend to err on the side of aliens and droids and Mandalorian armored figures.
Yeah.
So great looking figures. Like I said, we'll get to the figures when we get to Star Wars, but not something that I was too excited about. The big thing that they were pushing all weekend, it seemed like each panel, as well as in between each panel, they were talking about the selfie series. Now we are in Canada. The selfie series is open to U.S. Customers only, effectively. Now you can sort of set the geolocation for your phone to the US. If you have a US address to ship these to, you could get it. $60 during PulseCon. They will go up to $80 after, and that's US dollars, which
Yeah.
is not a favorable currency right now at the current Canadian exchange rate. What are your thoughts on selfie series?
I think it's genius. Like I think it's so
Mhm.
cool. But like your that price tag is hard, especially when we don't even have the option to get shipped to us.
Mhm.
So like I have a proxy address set up, and I've never used it just because
Mhm.
it's like you got to pay for shipping to that, and then you got to pay from shipping to your proxy to you,
Yeah,
which I mean it's just more money.
yeah.
Will I cave? Oh, maybe because I mean I'm assuming you take your selfie and you pick the figure if it goes with it.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have options. So for GI Joe, you know, there's Snake Eyes and Scarlet. For Marvel Legends, I think you can pick like there's a Spider Man. I want to say Black Panther. I'm not remembering all of them. This is not
Yeah.
this is what I can remember from memory. You can pick a male or female Ghostbusters, um, you know, suit.
Yep.
You could pick Mandalorian or a Stormtrooper for Black Series.
Yeah. I
I
think a
think there's
rebel pilot
more.
as well.
What's that?
I think a rebel pilot as well for Black
Yes,
Series.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Rebel Pirate pilot in Black Series. Um, so there's options. There's good options.
Hmm.
Um, I you know, at that price point, with the sort of hurdles that you have to jump over, I was kind of on board at $60 if I could get it to Canada, even with the
Yeah.
Hasbro shipping charges. Um, but because I can't get it in Canada, I think I'm gonna pass on it for now. Now, hopefully this is like the first wave. Hopefully they sort of open it up and sort of adjust pricing accordingly. But we shall see. Larry said, "I believe there is 16 bodies." I think that's
No, there's
about right.
variety.
When I was looking at the when I was sort of looking at the list, like they show there's can't remember where I saw it even, and I should have done a slide with it. But they sort of listed all the bodies, and I've seen sort of all the different hairstyles that you could do and stuff like that. It looks very much to me like it is. It's a generic head sculpt that gets a a unique print on it. So in some respects, it's not a unique head sculpt. It's a print onto
Mhm.
a generic sculpt, which I get for the price point is the way that they're going to have to do it. But it's also, not everybody has the same face shape. Not everybody has the
Yeah.
same head shape. Some people have longer heads. Some people have, rounder heads, so on and so forth. They all have kind of look the same. Which is really the roundabout way of me sort of saying I'm glad that I don't have to get one of these because I
Yeah.
I, I spent a ton of money on other stuff. Moving on. First brand panel was Transformers. I'm going to quickly go through these because I am not a big enough Transformers guy to have been sort of caught up in the legacy stuff. I know that there's a lot of guys that are. Larry, forgive me. I know that you're watching. Feel free to chime in. I know that Larry grabbed a couple things. I know that Larry grabbed the PulseCon exclusive 2-pack. I had notes on all of these, but I fear we're not going to have enough time for me to sort of go over them. They said that they're going to do all of the Dinobots in this sort of inexpensive form. So these are sort of minimal articulation, minimal transformations, but they're going to do them all at this price point. And I think these are like $12 in the US. I think they're about 15 or $17 in Canada.
Yeah, I think they're called the core class or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's great that they're releasing a whole bunch of these great characters in an inexpensive version. I think this is sort of the class that allows parents to just pick a random transformer up for their kid.
Yeah.
We'll go through all these waves and all these brands, and so many of these toys are getting so expensive. And I hear that over and over and over. And I love that these are available. I love that, even though I'm not a big Transformers fan, my oldest daughter loves the transformations. Like she can't do them. She's 6. So she doesn't understand how to do them because they've gotten so complicated, if I'm being
Yeah.
perfectly honest. I mean, G1 Optimus, like you can stumble your way through transforming him from a truck to a robot. But some of the transformers, like 37 steps to transform it, and not all of them are straightforward. But the fact that you can get sort of these in a great price point that are going to engage kids, I think more than real sort of hardcore fans. And Larry, I think you could probably you can agree or disagree with this. Um, to get kids into the line at this price point, I don't think that people like Larry or Tristan McDonald's is also a very big Transformers fan. I don't know that these are for them. I think these are more for kids and for people that are sort of new to the line or just want to get a Transformer character to maybe be on their desk. Like they've done Optimus, they've done Soundwave, they've done Megatron, I think, in core class. Like, and at that price point, like you really can't go wrong. So,
And they've done a couple of
like
like these random Beast Wars figures here, which are
yeah,
like fantastic in core class.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, that one, I think you can take that one apart and you can add those parts on other Transformers and stuff too. So that's
Oh, I didn't even know
like I
that.
said,
That's cool.
core class. There are 6 Dinobots, but there were only 5 Dinobots in the cartoon. Yes, they
Huh.
mentioned that. So they're adding a Dinobot to the core class, which I wouldn't have known that except that they mentioned it. And they were actually doing 2 of them in this first wave. We won't, like I said, we won't get too deep on this. We're 32 minutes in, and we've got a ton of stuff to cover. So, in core class, they're also doing this guy. Now, this isn't Soundwave, but I don't know who this is. So, Larry, you're gonna have to help me out on this one, or Austin, do you know? This is
I don't.
like an alternate paint scheme for Soundwave. He's Sound Blaster. Is that right?
Isn't Sound Blaster the Autobot one, the red one?
I don't know. My interaction with Transformers is that like some of the designs I really loved, and as a kid I had a few of them, and I've bought a whole bunch of them now. But I beyond Optimus and Bumblebee, I Cliffhanger, Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave. Other than that, I've got a whole bunch on my shelf, and I don't know the names of any of them. Larry said this is Sound Blaster,
Oh,
so
there
there
you
you
go.
go. I don't know.
You were right.
Is this sort of like a Starscream type thing where like Soundwave is the original, and then they were like, we have the mold, let's make a different color and give them a different name. I don't know. Moving on to a bunch of legacy figures. Now they all look great. I'm going to click through slides and I'm going to say whether this means anything to me, and then I'll ask you, Austin, this one, anything?
I want to say that's Smokescreen, who I liked as a kid, but not a figure
It's
I'll buy.
not. It's
Oh well,
not.
oh Mirage.
No, this is
Oh,
one of
see, I
the.
don't know.
Yeah. It's so apologies to apologies to Larry who's watching. We don't know who any of these guys are. And I took notes, but I'll be perfectly honest, the notes don't make any difference because I still don't know who they are. Larry said in the Headmaster cartoon, Soundwave was killer, and they use the head. They make the new Sound Blaster version. I'm gonna read that again and I think this is what he meant. In the Headmaster cartoon, Soundwave was killed, and they used his head to make the new Sound Blaster version. So he's like the
I would imagine it's
version
almost like,
2 that they could sell the kids a repaint of the same
yeah,
figure.
it's almost going from like Starscream to Thundercracker or Megatron to Galvatron, Soundwave to Sound Blaster would be my
Yeah,
assumption.
yeah, version 2, if you
Yeah.
will, or repaint number 2. Um, all right, well let's sort of tear through these Transformers here. This guy, I do know a little bit about this one. This guy is new. He's not an existing character. They sort of added him to the line.
Looks cool.
I agree. Looks cool. I'm curious to know, and I'm definitely going to have a few conversations with some of the Transformers guys that I know and sort of ask what their reactions are to some of these, because I'm very curious. How do Transformers fans feel about Hasbro adding figures to sort of their beloved sort of list of characters that they already want? And maybe they didn't make the one that you wanted and they make this one instead, kind of thing. Larry said the Autobot cassette was Blaster, also the same cartoon that was made into Twincast. Okay. I don't know what any of that means. But that won't be the only thing that I won't understand what it means, because I'll be perfectly honest. I asked somebody about something else that we will get to later, and I'll mention this sort of when we get there. There was something else that I mentioned that I knew nothing about, and I sort of messaged somebody and said, "What do you know about this?" And he told me, and I went, "That didn't make any sense to me." More legacy characters. So I know that we got characters from video games, comic books, different lines and stuff, but I don't know who any of them are. I think this is from one of the newer cartoons.
It's from the cartoon I grew up with, Transformers Armada. This is Hot Shot. Hot Shots. And they said Hot
There
Rod.
you go. Now you grew up with Armada, but are you buying Transformers? Are you gonna go for this guy, or?
I'm going for Armada. I already got Starscream pre-ordered.
Okay.
Like this one, it tickled that nostalgia itch. Like I grew up in the early 2000s. I know I'm making myself sound like a kid, but that's when I was a little kid, and I remember watching that every day. And oh, I loved
That's
Armada.
That's totally fair, man. That's totally fair. I'm trying to get my kids into, like, the properties that I was into, but I have to give them versions that are newer because they're like funnier or like more action packed or whatever. So
Yeah.
um this guy, anything?
It kind of reminds you of Blitzwing, but I don't think that's who it's supposed to be.
It's not. It's not. We'll move on.
Optimus Leo Prime.
Leo Prime, yeah,
Prime.
Leo Prime. So this is a sort of an Optimus Prime version. It's a great looking figure.
Yeah,
I think they were saying that this is heavily manga influenced. So this
makes
is
sense.
I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't know. I mean, I knew that Transformers were sort of international and that sort of Japan was involved through Takara Tomy. But it's interesting that there's sort of manga versions of some of these things. Um, like I said, they look great, but
Mhm.
this is, to the best of my knowledge, and forgive me if I get this completely wrong, sort of the leader of the Decepticons in the IDW comics as of recently, or sort of a leader of the Decepticons. He has the Decepticons logo sort of
As I
as
said.
his head. Um, so he's like more Decepticon than Megatron is Decepticon, kind of thing, is I think the gist of it. Which I could completely be getting wrong. Feel free to dislike this video, and troll me in the comments if that's the case. Um, anything for you? Nothing. Nothing.
I mean, again, like no attachments, but like it looks cool. I actually love the look of this one.
Yeah, I had the same reaction. It looked really cool, and I had no idea where it was from. Which is why I was a little bit curious, and that's why I know more than nothing about this one. Um, but still, there was so much stuff.
Yeah,
Hasbro's doing so much stuff that I couldn't keep track of all of it. The next thing they talked about was Transformers in Magic the Gathering. So they're doing Magic cards for Transformers. Now, Austin, before we started the video, you said that you have played or do play. I used to play as a teenager. Um, is this of interest to you? Does this sort of bring Transformers into Magic the Gathering for you, or do you think it's a bit of a reach?
I think it's a bit of a reach, but as a guy, for like I still play Magic, nowhere near as much as I used to, but I still play. To me, it's just, is the card good? If so, I'll put it in a deck. But otherwise, it is a little weird saying I cast Optimus Prime. It's just a little weird to me, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't played in a long time, so I will plead the fifth on this. I just it's this one's just over my head. Um, this is a cool set. So this is the PulseCon exclusive. Um, Baby Optimus Prime, I think, is the official name for this set. This is sort of the pre-Optimus Prime Optimus Prime. I think almost everybody that I know that's a Transformers fan actually went for this. Um, do you know who these people are? Do you know who the well, people? I guess is not the right word.
I don't remember the characters' names, but I think I remember seeing this in the cartoon where the guy on the left was like the previous leader of the Autobots, and he passed on the leadership of Matrix to who wasn't known as Optimus Prime at the time, but he became
Yeah.
Optimus Prime.
Larry, yeah, you're absolutely right. You got it. Larry said a born hero set. I think the set's called A Hero is Born. I think it's Alpha Trion is the guy on the left, and Baby Optimus Prime on the right. I can't. I knew the name, but I'm not taking this lightly for all you Transformers fans. I just genuinely don't know enough of the lore to to speak on this with any sort of authority, like more than sort of making fun of it. But yeah, it's
Orion Pax. There.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Cool looking set. I mean, both of them look really good.
Mhm.
I like the designs of both. I like the decos of both for sure. Not really on my radar. Not something that I needed or wanted. Um, there's just too much, going on. And James says, I wish I could get these, but I got GI Joe priorities. I'm not gonna lie, in the same way. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that looked really, really cool this weekend that I just couldn't pull the trigger on for reasons of empty wallets. Um, yeah. Now this I definitely bought because no, I'm just kidding. Transformers Light Bright. I thought this was a weird way to sort of sell Light Bright to non children. Um, Thoughts on this? Do you have any?
It's definitely not on my radar. I mean, I'm sure there's always an audience. Like there's someone's going to look at this and go, "This is so cool. I need this for my man cave or something."
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think that whether it's for Transformers or something else, I think if I'm being objective, of all the properties that Hasbro has, this is probably the best one for a Light Bright because the color palette of like the reds and blues and yellows is really easy to sort of recreate. You're not going to get the tonal stuff that you need from like Star Wars or GI Joe or some of those properties. So I think this isn't going to be for everybody, but for the people that are into this, I think it's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, it's definitely cool.
There's no way this would be going on my wall in my house. That would get an instant veto from my wife, so it was irrelevant. But then, sort of coming back around to Soundwave, Shattered Glass Soundwave. So this is sort of the like inversed universe where Autobots are the bad guys, Decepticons are the good guys. Um, these are really fun because they're redecos or sort of repaints of existing figures, but there's reference points for them. So
yeah,
did you get into Shattered Glass at all? Is that something that's
didn't get any of the toys. I always thought it was a cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
Alternate reality, everything's reversed. It's like Bizarro Megatron and Bizarro Optimus Prime. Thought that was cool. Again, not something I bought into. Probably still something I won't buy into. But I can
Yeah,
see a lot of people liking this.
yeah, yeah. I think the Shattered Glass, because they're not doing a ton of them. I think for a lot of people, it's a great line to sort of get all of them because they seem to release sort of one a quarter or like one per event. So it's not like it's not like there's 3 waves of these sort of every time.
Yeah.
Um, Larry said the ball in the middle is Vector Sigma that gave the life to the Transformers. So on that Hero is Born set, um, that was that sort of golden orb. And Larry also says using the Netflix mold that now goes for stupid money, like $200. I have that one. Somebody want to buy that one from me? That Soundwave goes for $200. That's bonkers. Nah, I'd probably still keep it because I'd have to pay to replace it anyway. So, Power Rangers. Are you a Power Rangers fan, or should we?
Never been really. I got a couple of the Power Ranger figures because they're cool, but honestly,
Yeah,
I just use them for like background characters for Star Wars
yeah,
shots. So
yeah, yeah. Apart from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, these don't do a whole lot for me. We got a few figures released. We got an army builder released. We got another one of these Zord sort of premium Zords released. The interesting thing of that panel to me was the Street Fighter crossover Power Ranger figures, which are interesting to me that they exist, but I'm still not going to be pulling the trigger on these.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think they're really cool. So far, my favorite one's been the Ryu one, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if I ever found someone like on clearance, I'd probably pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Starting lineup. These do anything for you?
Nah, I'm not big on like sports action figures.
Yeah, I mean at the price point with the NFTs and all that kind of stuff, like I love that they did the shoes to go with the figures. I'm disappointed that they didn't do the tattoos to match because I think there's something missing when you have like an actual real human that isn't represented accurately.
I think there's a reason for that now, I believe. It's
Yeah.
WWE and I can't remember which video game company, whichever one makes that. No, Take-Two Interactive. Um, they got sued by a tattoo artist because
Hmm.
because Randy Orton has tattoos done by a certain artist, and since they didn't have permission to use it in the video game, even though it's on Randy Orton, she sued them and she won. So I'm guessing that's why they're not going to put the tattoos on because lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting that they paid for the licensing for like the Nike jerseys for all the different shoes. They paid for the NFTs. They paid for a whole bunch of stuff, but not the tattoos. Like it's an odd choice to me, but such is life, I suppose. I'll go back here for just a second. I do like that. Like these players, these humans, are shorter than these humans. So they did mention that they are using different bucks. They are using
Oh, nice.
uh, sort of size appropriate figures. But Fortnite, cool figures. Not a property that I don't know. The
I've never played
proportions
the
are
game.
weird, so they don't really cross over into other lines that I'm buying. Are you gonna go for any of these or?
Probably not. I own a couple. Like I got Beef Boss and Fish Sticks, which I don't think were Hasbro at the time. I think they were Jazzwares. And that
Mhm,
was just because they were really goofy characters, but kind of fit in with G.I. Joe as goofy
mhm.
characters.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we got a few figures from them. A couple deluxe figures, which, like I said, they look pretty cool, but the proportions are a bit off. They look a little sort of cartoon inspired, Fortnite inspired.
Yeah,
So they don't really do much for me. Marvel Legends. Um, what are your thoughts on Marvel Legends? I've been beckoned. I'll be gone for about 30 seconds. Give me your initial thoughts on Marvel Legends, and I'll jump back in when you're done.
for sure. So okay, so far I think I love all their announcements. I know with this modular Iron Man in particular, we already have it. I'm a sucker for more classic colors, so I feel the flat or more sorry, the vibrant yellow over the metallic gold that we previously had. This is just better to me. Plus just look at that giant photon cannon. That is so cool. And the Tony Stark head, I am not a fan of. just just looks so wacky to me. I know a lot of people are excited for it, so that's good. Just I would never display him with that head. But having two Iron Man helmets is pretty cool too. I mean, with the higher price points nowadays, it's nice when they throw in extra stuff. I didn't check the price of this figure, but I imagine with the photon cannon, it's going to be pretty expensive, at least in compared to other Marvel Legends. So whether or not I'll get this one, it's like just depends on the price. Again, I already own this figure. I just have the gold version. But I might be a sucker and just buy the repaint because I love that red and yellow. It looks fantastic.
Now you mentioned the price. It didn't seem outlandishly expensive um, for sort of all the stuff that you get.
Oh, that's good. 'Cause
Um, but maybe my opinion is skewed based on other stuff that I buy.
Well, yeah, fair.
Um,
I look at this, I go, if this is 60 Canadian, I look at that's not too bad. But I mean, a lot of people will look at 60 Canadian and go, that's absurd.
well, yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's probably more than that. I think it was like 55 US or something like that.
Oh. I
Now,
want,
when they've been doing these sort of retro ones, they tend to bump that price up a couple bucks, and then I think this whatever that Canon thing is,
I want to say it's called a photon cannon, but I could be wrong.
well, I mean, it's from
Marvel
the
versus Capcom.
yeah. Like it's from the video game, and that was sort of a finishing move or something like that. So there's a
Yep.
market for this. Like but they're really sort of banking on probably a similar market to those Power Rangers Street Fighter crossover figures, where like they're banking on sort of a video game crowd to want
Yeah.
a physical version of something that they remember. Um, Now, whether that is a market or it's a target market, I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen. Will there be a stack of these at GameStop for half price in a few months? Will this be a $5 Friday item in a year? It remains to be seen. Um, you never can tell, and I don't know
Yeah.
that Hasbro has a way of knowing. The example that I think of is when the Mandalorian armor was a PulseCon exclusive. I want to say 2 years ago, and then it just popped up at Toys R Us, and they got so many that they couldn't get rid of them, and then I think they were down to like $15 a piece, kind of thing.
That's how much I
Which
got mine for.
I was gonna say, which was when I pulled the trigger and bought mine.
Yeah.
um yeah, this Iron Man's not for me, but I'm not a big Iron Man guy. Ray, aka Figgy Smalls, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw this in one of his pictures in the near future. So
I this when I was a kid, again, this is it tickles the nostalgia end of me because this is the Iron Man suit when I was a kid. So I look at this and
right.
I want it.
Hmm. Oh, Larry's saying 44.99 on Hasbro Pulse. I thought it
Oh,
was 55, so I read that completely wrong. So yeah, I mean
60
40
bucks could be.
45, on Pulse, 55 at GameStop kind of thing.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It's not outlandish, I
No.
suppose. But it is, I mean, I think this is and like I said, I'm not an Iron Man guy, so I think this is a reuse of this figure, right? Like, is this not the modular Iron Man or whatever?
As far as I can tell, it's the exact same figure, except they threw in some extra stuff, including the heads and some extra hands.
Yeah, and I didn't get into that. That dirtbag head looks pretty good.
Just it's not for me.
I mean, I'm most tempted by that dirtbag head, the long-haired mustache Tony Stark. That probably says a lot more about me than it does about this figure. Um, I'm going in chronological order that they revealed them. This was easily the most exciting thing that Marvel Legends revealed to me personally.
Yeah, like I mean, I have no personal attachment to the costume. I remember this costume again from a video game. So look at that. See, you're excited.
Oh man. We're not going to talk a lot about pipeline reveals, but I will be talking about pipeline reveals as they relate to this.
But with this being revealed, I that more or less confirms they're going to do a lineup of figures X-Men in this costume, which for me is like I'm not super attached to this costume. However, being able to get a full lineup of figures in the same genre and the same outfit, that's
Yeah.
tempting.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So this, we've talked about this before lots of times on video and just sort of in chats, that we both are huge fans of the Age of Apocalypse X-Men.
Yeah.
And however many waves they want to keep making of those, we will probably keep buying them. Uncanny X-Men 275, which was the sort of cover that this look sort of introduced this look of X-Men, where they all decided they were going to wear the same suits, instead of having sort of, Wolverine has his suit, Storm has her suit, Gambit has his trench coat, and so on and so forth. This was when they sort of came together as a team and had this amazing suit. I mean, the suit looks amazing, partly because each of them wore it differently. So it was a standard suit that they all kind of personalized. We'll get to
Yeah.
that a little bit later, but as far as this figure goes, I certainly don't need another Wolverine figure, but I must have this one. This is the Wolverine figure that I didn't know that I needed. There's one other Wolverine that I know that I want, which was a Toy Biz figure that I had as a kid. And if that one ever comes up, I'll probably do a whole show about that one. But we won't get into it here. I like that they get the alternate head as well as
Yeah.
alternate hands. So you get sort of the it's funny how they package it, because they kind of package it with the sort of relaxed head and claws out, and give you the angry head, no clawed fists. I feel like they could probably put the angry head on with the claws out, and like, um, but great throwback packaging with the retro card. Just a great figure that I'm really excited to get. This was like the first thing that I messaged Mike from eCollectibles about, and I said, I need that. Whatever else figures I order, I need that. Long Shot. So Long Shot was available in the 4-pack box set with the Mojo World box set with Mojo, Long Shot, Dazzler, and the weird little cartoony Wolverine. I didn't go for that set, and I'm thankful that I didn't, because this to me is a better version of Long Shot. And then they offered Mojo as a separate release as well.
Yeah.
Long Shot do anything for you? This might be too early too, because this is 90s. Like this
Yeah.
is 90s X-Men.
Yeah, I have no attachment to Long Shot. I mean, I'm familiar with the character. It's one of those ones where I won't pre-order it. Maybe if I find it for a good price, I'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's just like you said. Like I was born in '94, so I missed the mark. This is Long Shot was never an iconic X-Men to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. This to me is probably in the wave. This will be the figure that I think will be the easiest to find on a GameStop peg for $14 or something like that.
Yeah.
I still ordered it anyway. I'm not prepared to take the risk. Is what
Fair
it
enough.
like. I'm 40 years old. I'm not going to be like checking every day and stopping in every day and sort of. I'm not going to miss out on this because I didn't want to pay the retail price. It's not even like It's not even like, well, maybe if I find a deal. Like, I yeah. This was sort of an instant buy. This was a day one buy. Multiple Man. This is, we got the 90s X-Force Deco Multiple Man, which is in super high demand. He's not a cheap figure to get, because most people, believe it or not, want 3 or more. The card has 4 on there, so will people by default order 4 of these? I don't know. I think this one was sold out on Pulse. I think this will be a figure that will sell out quickly, because I can't imagine that even if they pack him sort of 2 per case, I think people are going to want more than 2.
Yeah.
I went with the 90s X-Force one, but I totally get it with this one. I think the deco's great. Is this a multiple man that you're familiar with, or?
Multiple Man is actually easily top three in terms of favorite X-Men.
Okay.
So like I'm all over this one. I'm definitely going to be the guy, but buy some multiple men. I'm probably minimum three is what I'll get.
Yeah.
I'll probably get minimum three, and if some by some miracle it ends up peg warming and goes on clearance, I'll buy more. I don't think it will, so that's why I'm going to get three right away.
Yeah. I'm so torn on this one, and the reason that I'm torn is because this is pretty close to the House of X deco,
Yeah,
and I have multiples of the 90s X-Force one, so I have the sort of hooded head.
yeah.
So and I got the Fantastic Four Reed Richards, which I already took the trench coat and the arms off.
Oh, smart. Yeah,
So I'm looking at this one and I'm thinking I could do House of X, Madrox Prime as trench coat, unhooded head, and then get a couple more, and he could fit on my House of X shelf. I'm also thinking I ordered everything else in the wave, as well as the Mojo, as well as some of the other figures that we'll get to. This is going to have to go on the back burner for now. But I totally agree with you. I could totally see a lot of people buying multiples of multiple man.
yeah. I'm all
Um,
over this one. It's probably my most anticipated Marvel Legends reveal from PulseCon. I was jumping up and down, going, "Oh yes, multiple man, finally!"
well, and so this is I like I said, my multiple man is sort of the 90s deco, the blue one with the
Yeah,
trench that we already got. But this is like first appearance as well as House of X. Like if you squint, you can kind of plug them into a lot of different times in X-Men.
yeah,
So I think I think this is a good play in terms of like the right deco to release. I would have I would have maybe liked one more head. We got three different heads with the X Force one. This one only has two. It would have been nice to have a third because then it's easily a multiple of three buy for most people, I think.
yeah,
That being said, probably a lot of people have the same unmasked head that I have, and they'll probably just use that one as a third. So this is a slam dunk.
absolutely.
Um, Dark Phoenix is going for ridiculous prices on the aftermarket. Uh, my 6-year-old has been asking for it since she watched the X-Men animated series. We got the poor man's Phoenix, which is the green suit, the green suited version. But as soon as I saw this, I showed her, and she's like, "You have to get that. You know, you have to get that." I was like, don't worry, don't worry. It's. I have a running list of figures that she's asked for that are like outrageously priced, um, and 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 I've just been waiting for re-releases or for them to like pop up randomly in weird trade scenarios or whatever. But um, I'm really excited about this one. It doesn't come with the big sort of flame that came with the Toys R Us one. Um, but I love that it comes with the little sort of Phoenix, the Fire Phoenix flame set. I don't need multiple heads. I don't need anything. Like this will be perfect for me. Um, what are your thoughts on this one?
Um, I mean, I would have liked multiple heads. I could say that of almost any figure, though. I would have preferred more hands. I would have preferred more of this.
Yeah.
In terms
Yeah.
of just having access to a Dark Phoenix figure at retail, I'm in.
Yes.
I'm 100%
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Aaron said the OG version of this Wolverine was the first figure I paid my own money for. So the old, yeah, we were chatting about this a little bit yesterday, but like the Toy Biz, I didn't collect all of the Toy Biz figures. I picked and choose like some of the figures that were meaningful to me or whatever. This version of Wolverine, I had the Toy Biz Morph, which we will. I'll mention I'll mention the morph that we did get soon enough, and the morph that I want. There's a, like I said, there's a version of Wolverine that came in the Toy Biz line that I still really want. But I think these retro carded figures on these cards that we all know and love from the 90s is
Yeah.
like, I think these cards get people to buy figures that they didn't necessarily need. The cards do, not just the figures, but like the cards alone, I think are enough in some cases to convince people to buy some of these.
Well, funny enough, like I collect the Spider-Man retro figures,
Mhm.
and there's I don't buy doubles. I never ever buy doubles. I'm an opener. I open up the figure. I toss out the packaging. It's the one line that's gotten me to buy doubles. There's a couple that I really like. I'm like, okay, I want to
Mm.
buy this and keep it on card.
Yeah, those Fantastic Four figures that I got recently, I never had those Toy Biz like retro cards, but I cut the figures off and opened them. But I was like, these cards are so good.
Yeah,
This sort of animated style, like they're way more fun than most of the Hasbro
they
packaging
are.
currently is. And if I just keep the card, it doesn't take up that much space, right? I could keep those for a while. I
Yeah,
got
drop
room
the
for some
bubble, keep the
card
card.
backs. I don't have to keep the plastic. I just keep the card. It's fine. Um, Larry said if they could only do a good Dark Phoenix movie, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they're 0 for 2 on that one.
my honest opinion is that it's too complex. My honest opinion is that like what comic book movies have offered up until this point, and this is going to be a rant that's going to derail us. We were shooting for an hour. We're already an hour and 10 minutes. We haven't finished day one. So let's just go all in at this point. Um, the offerings that we've had for Dark Phoenix have had to be contained in a 2 hour feature film. We're moving into phase 5, I think, of the MCU, if I'm not mistaken, which will be sort of a cosmic phase that's already sort of got the ball rolling and sort of introduced mutants. Could Dark Phoenix be the phase 6 big bad in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I don't see why
That
not.
is that's a conversation for a different video. We'll do a split video of the one version of Wolverine that I want them to remake, split with what they could do with Dark Phoenix. Because I think it's that like the not just the story of the Dark Phoenix like in the X-Men comic books, but like the legacy of Dark Phoenix and sort of how it sort of changed the dynamic of the X-Men. It can't be contained in a movie. I think that's been the failing of Fantastic Four too. Everybody keeps trying to retell the Fantastic Four's origin story, but that's not what the Fantastic Four is about.
Yeah,
To me, at least. So, in that respect, we're probably going to get Fantastic. Well, no, we are going to get Fantastic Four. We very likely will get X-Men in the MCU. I'm really looking forward to what they might be able to do with that, in terms of the long form storytelling of like the arc of a phase, which they seem to be willing to take some pretty big swings. So Larry also said hang them on the wall like I did. Yeah, I'm that you mean the cards. I think I don't have enough wall space. I'll be perfectly honest. Like behind me is going to get more boxes up above these figures. I've got a big display that's being built over there. That wall is already full of stuff. There's not much wall opposite me. I'd have to build another. I'll build a wall. Like I'll split this room in two. I'll put a wall in the middle of the room, put cards on. Maybe I'll go at the ceiling. There's nothing on the ceiling. Maybe I could go on the ceiling. X-Men will be in Secret Wars like in the comics. Yeah, and that's I think they're getting closer and closer to sort of introducing the X-Men as such. I finally got around to watching the final episode of Miss Marvel, which was a show that I loved. My kids loved it. My wife enjoyed it. It was sort of a Marvel Cinematic Universe experience that we could all watch together because
Mhm.
it was very much oriented towards a young audience. And at the end of that episode, spoiler alert, they basically tell her that she's a mutant. Um, Another very minor spoiler, She-Hulk. I think there's a point where they mention something about, they don't mention, but there's an Easter egg about mutants in She-Hulk as well. Um, Bigger spoiler if you haven't watched, Doctor Strange. But if you haven't watched Doctor Strange, are you even really a fan? Uh, Professor X is right there. So I think that's a pretty good sign that we're gonna get a lot of X-Men references, or at least mutant references and sort of X-Men Easter eggs through Phase 5. I think they'll push it to the next phase. I think that'll be the big thing for the next phase. That's just my prediction. But
Yeah.
anyway, I digress. We are talking about these figures. Marvel's Avalanche. So he is one of the Brotherhood of mutants. Magneto, Toad, Pyro, Avalanche, Mystique. Who's the other one?
Who did you list so far? You got Magneto, Avalanche, Mystique,
I'll
Pyro.
list them. I'll list them again. And this is a setup. I'm trying to set something up. We've gotten Mystique.
Okay.
We've gotten Toad. We've gotten Pyro.
Yep.
We've gotten Magneto. We
Yep.
now have Avalanche.
Yep.
Who's missing?
Is it a Juggernaut?
There's one. You're on the right track. There's one very big character missing,
Oh,
and
Blob. Of course.
rumor is Blob is coming. Have you been picking up the Brotherhood figures so far? Do they
Not
interest you?
not so far, but they do interest. But funny enough, because we were talking about me going to a toy fair, I found a loose Magneto for $12.
Just like the standard red suit one.
Yeah, so I think it's the one that came in the 3-pack with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. So
Yeah.
I found that was actually, I say it was $12. It was actually a 2-pack. It was in a plastic bag of him and Polaris for $24.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting there going like, yeah, I'll probably grab mutants because GameStops, from what I see, still have that Rogue Pyro 2-pack. Toad has come out. I already have Juggernaut. Avalanche is coming out. Mystique, there's a cell shaded one coming out.
I don't think she's terribly hard to find still either. If you
Probably
wanted the
not.
non, she's not the cheapest, but I think she's, you
The
know,
big
I
the big one's going to be Sabretooth because I don't want the first appearance one to go with my Brotherhood.
I
But
think we'll get another one sooner rather than later too.
I think so too.
It's been so that first appearance one was this year, I guess.
Yeah.
But before that, I think the last one was 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, I think it came in the Apocalypse wave, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge X-Men fan. I'm a huge 90s X-Men fan. This team doesn't do anything for me.
Really?
Nothing.
Wow.
I've got it's the weirdest thing because it's like it's sort of the original team that goes against the X-Men, and I even love like the first appearance X-Men. But this is not like the weird thing is like I want Generation X. I want the 90s X-Force team. I want the 90s New Mutants. I don't want like first appearance New Mutants. Um I tons of people that I know, tons of collectors want first appearance of sort of everything, and that doesn't pull the same strings as the 90s stuff. The yellow and blue suits are more interesting to me than Rogue Outback, for example, which was a pipeline reveal. Um, the or Outback Rogue. I said it the wrong way. Um, like the Outback team, meh. It's not really my thing. I mean, there's a lot of great characters in there, and there was a lot of great character development in there. Um, but in a weird way, I was actually looking back at this a little bit recently. 275 is kind of my starting point. I went back as a fan and sort of, I wanted to know the backstories, the origins, the history, all that kind of stuff. But Extinction Agenda and sort of X-Men 275 and forward was like that's my X-Men.
Yeah.
So these guys are kind of a little earlier. I know they were in the animated series and stuff like that, and then they came back and stuff like that. But yeah, the Brotherhood doesn't do much for me. This does. Spiral with 6 arms. You get 5 swords and an axe. You get spare hands. There's a robotic arm. There's like so much going on here. I love this one, and I think
So I have no attachments to Spiral, but I just look at this figure and go, that's a whole lot of bang for your buck. I kind of want it.
yeah, I mean that's now we won't get into reveals versus actual product and stuff like that, but this looks like it's fully pinless, double jointed arms, double jointed legs.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so there's a lot going on here in terms of like what you're getting. There's a lot of figure in that package.
Yeah. And I know they've done multiple armed characters before. Like one was the Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
that they did with the
Mm-hmm.
6 arms, and
The
they like butchered the articulation to
yeah,
to get the arms in there. But
yeah.
she has the full range of articulation. It seems like maybe it's just no butterfly joint, but oh well. She has her ab uh, joint and all that. It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. I'm very curious how they did this because it looks almost like it looks like the arms are sort of in that sort of a pattern, like in a triangular
Yeah.
pattern. Like it looks like there's a set of arms behind the 2 front set. Which I'm very curious to see how they've plugged them into the figure. You know what I mean? Like I wonder what the back of this figure looks like.
Yeah, 'cause that's the thing. We don't see the back at all.
Mm-hmm. It might be grotesque from the back, is what I'm saying. But most of us don't, put them on our shelves facing that way, so maybe
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Um, that's the cover, the gatefold cover from X-Men 275. Now, Wolverine was revealed and up for pre-order. They teased Storm and Banshee. The rumor is that there are going to be 2 3-packs. So Wolverine is going to be a single retro carded. The rumor is that Storm, Jubilee, Psylocke, Forge, Gambit, and Banshee will be split amongst 2 3-packs. Whoever can offer those to me for pre-order first will get my money. The price is almost like I don't even care. Jim Lee era, that suit. I hope we get everything else that's on here too. I would love to see another version of Gladiator, Lilandra with a body. More Shi'ar stuff,
Yeah.
Savage Land stuff, like so much amazing stuff going on in that sort of era of the comic book. I won't dwell on it because, like I said, I could be there all day. Cell shaded, VHS boxed X-Men figures. Cyclops will be the last one of the line. When I first saw the reveal of the figure and didn't realize that it was cell shaded, I was so excited. I have that the 3-pack that had Jean Grey, Wolverine, and
Nice.
Cyclops, that sort of love triangle one where he has the bomber jacket on, which is a great figure. But I was a little bit too late to Marvel Legends to get the previous version of Cyclops in this deco. I really, really want this deco, but I really want the updated, slightly taller body. Um, they almost got me with this one, but I passed on this because I will not buy the cell shaded figures, which is what I was gonna say when they said we got the animated series Morph. I passed on that one too, even though I really want that one because I had the Toy Biz version of that. But the cell shading just doesn't do it for me. Um, have you gotten any of the cell shaded? You mentioned Mystique, but
I got two of them. I got Wolverine and Jubilee. I
mm-hmm.
made the mistake of pre-ordering them because even though they were released at the same time, Hasbro shipped them separately.
Yeah,
So I got charged for shipping both times. So and they ended up costing me about just over $50 each, which is ugh. And I think they're fine. I don't mind the cell shading. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it really adds anything. Would I prefer it if there wasn't there? Sure. But like that was like the only way I would get a Jubilee figure.
yeah.
Um, I love the VHS box. I think that's super cool. But like, do I really
Mhm.
want to get a figure for I'm going to open up just for a cool VHS box? Not really. There's still a couple I might get. Like I might get the Cyclops. I still plan on getting Sinister,
Mm-hmm.
but otherwise, it's not even so much. Oh, I'm going to get them because they're the animated cell shaded. I need to have them. It's more
Right.
like, oh, I'm going to get Sinister because it's the only way I'm going to get Sinister.
Yeah, well that I mean that's a good point, is that a lot of these figures are fairly recent releases within the last 2 to 3 years, and they're just redecos of figures that we already got, which is fine. It's not for everybody. Like I said, I don't love the cell shaded stuff. I don't. There's a bunch of different lines that are doing cell shaded, and they all kind of do them a little bit different. These are pretty tame by comparison to some of the other ones, for sure.
Yeah,
But that being said, I got a whole shelf of non-cell shaded figures. If I put that one on there, it's gonna stick out.
yeah,
Um, and and I was having this conversation with many people this weekend. When something like a cell shaded Cyclops comes out, if you don't absolutely love it, don't buy it, because Marvel or Hasbro will release a non-cell shaded version of this at some point.
yeah.
It may be this year, it may be next year, it might not be till 2025. But 90s Jim Lee era animated series deco, this particular design of Cyclops just has so much going for it in terms of so many people having a connection to this deco, that there's no way they don't re-release a non-cell shaded version of this. Presumably on the that new Vulcan buck. I think they
Yeah.
said that's the buck that this is being used on. Another thing is that they've sort of integrated the leg straps into the legs. They're not a loose piece that's going to slide down anymore, which I
Thank
think is
God.
exactly right. How many people glued those on to their figures? Um, that's the big complaint about anybody that had, and a lot of 90s X-Men character designs have those thigh straps. So there's a lot of Marvel Legends figures with thigh straps on their ankles because they're not glued on. So a lot
Yeah,
of people glue them on. You can glue them on sort of right at the thigh swivel, so they don't impede articulation, and they actually cover the articulation a little bit. So it kind of works out in some ways. but it's kind of nice that they've updated the design and updated the molds to include that. It looked like the Wolverine did that as well, where they sort of keyed it into the mold so that it's not going to fall down. Now, the weird thing is it looks to be pretty much flush, which is kind of weird. I still like it raised. So I'm like, well, maybe I want the ones that fall because they're sort of a 3D piece. But regardless, very, very excited to get this version of Cyclops re-released for people that either missed it or people that love the cell shaded VHS boxed version of the figure. Yeah, like I said, I hope we get a non-cell shaded version of this. I hope we get a non-cell shaded version of Morph. I'm kind of banking on the new animated series to sort of give us some of those figures.
I didn't think about that. It's a good point.
They're doing a different costume for Magneto. I think they've already shown that, but it'll be interesting to see what decos they do for some of the other characters. But moving on, that was effectively the end of day one. We're now finally moving into day two. I'll try to go through this a lot faster. Heroescape, Age of Annihilation, Hasbro, HasLab, Kickstarter for a tabletop game, which is sort of an evolution of a game that already existed. Did you play Heroescape, the previous version?
I did not.
I didn't either. Moving on. I heard it's a great game. Magic the Gathering, they went into some new Magic stuff. We've already talked about this a little bit. We're getting Magic in space. We're getting Transformers Magic. We chatted about that a little bit. I think it's I think they're trying to pull new people into the game, which is not a bad idea. It remains to be seen whether current fans push back or whether it actually generates new fans. But I wish them the best with that. Because I have no vested interest in it whatsoever. Indiana Jones Adventure Series. Now, they mentioned that they're doing sort of a kids line. This is the 6-inch sort of articulated line. It is, from everything that I sort of could gather, the guys that are doing Black Series, the guys that are doing the Star Wars stuff are already sort of connected to, Lucasfilms and stuff like that. So it kind of made sense that they're the team that's taking this on. We touched on this a little bit. You're going to pick up Indy. You're going to pick up Tote.
I don't think so. I think I'm going to at least try my best to keep it a just iconic looking Indiana Jones.
Yeah, fair enough. The retro adventures of Indiana Jones figure is pretty fun. He's got sort of like he's still got a spring-loaded arm to pull his gun up. Which I think is kind of cool. I like that they did a pretty accurate throwback to sort of a vintage figure, to the best of my knowledge. Again, it's not a line that I am super into. The head of the staff there, I don't know if he was being serious or not, because he wouldn't sort of divulge any more than he said, I'm ordering this for reasons. Patty is getting the staff topper. Maybe he already has a staff. Maybe his whole basement is sort of decorated in the style of that scene from Raiders. I don't know. Hopefully, when he gets this piece, we will get more answers. But we will see. Like I said, Indiana Jones for me is a great property, but it didn't. It wasn't a property that I wanted figures from, or one-to-one scale sort of replica type stuff. I hope they do well, because I hope the people that want sort of the waves of figures get what they want. But I don't know. This is the Star Wars Black Series PulseCon exclusive 2-pack, Cassian Andor and B2 Emo. B2 Emo? Is that are they taking a shot at somebody with that name?
I'm not sure. I thought the same thing.
I love the show. I love the characterization of the of Cassian Andor. I love that sort of we're getting backstory to Cassian, because we got Rogue One and we all know how that ended. So the only thing we can get is backstory. We're not going to get the later adventures of Cassian Andor. Um, B2 Emo, I think is a really fun droid. He's a unique design. He's different. I liked it in the flashbacks. Spoiler alert. In the flashbacks, he doesn't have a stutter, and he sort of does now because he's like his power source doesn't work properly. They're always saying like, "Have you recharged? Have you recharged? Have you recharged?" So it seems like his battery is shot. Like it's a really cool take um, on a droid, because there's forgive me, I may get this totally wrong. If there's a Star Wars fan that sort of calls me out on this, I concede. But to my understanding, like the Empire has droids and they never wipe them. They never wipe their memories, which is why they're always like very droid-like. Whereas on sort of the civilian side and the rebel side, all those sort of banked memories start generating like more of a personality. Like the AI kicks in, and that's where you get C3PO and R2D2 and K2SO and B2 Emo and like all these characters. And I think they're doing a really good job with all the new droids. K2SO for me was a revelation. That was a fantastic droid.
Oh, I
Um,
loved them so much in that movie.
um, B2 Emo has been he's been great for plot points, but he's also like I really enjoy like what does an old droid look like? How does it sort of work? Like
Mhm.
he's like geriatric,
Yeah.
like they have to keep telling him to recharge and stuff like that. But even what was the droid's name? uh like there's been a couple, like there's a droid that has a stutter and I can't remember his name, and they're like, because I'm forgetting which properties they come from, but like there's been a few that have just been like really really fun, and to me the fun in Star Wars, the comedy in Star Wars should come from the droids. It did in the original series, and it in a weird way it feels organic when the non-organic characters kind of exist outside of the tone of the rest of the show or movie or what have you.
Yeah.
Um, you picked up a whole bunch of Black Series at $10 and $15 a piece. You're not really doing Black Series at this point
Well, I mean,
at retail.
so I suspect that this might go like the armor, and it'll show up at Toys R Us.
Hmm.
And I'm really banking that it's going to be really expensive to the point where they're going to have to put it on clearance.
Yeah, that I picked up a bunch of stuff. I mean, I get Mandalorian stuff and then versions of Luke Skywalker. There's now Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars sort of entertainment of all time, of the movies, of the shows, of whatever. So they might have gotten me with a few of these that we'll get to in a minute. Um, they did vintage collection Pulse Con exclusive rescue set. So this is the 4-inch figures of Mandalorian, Dark Trooper, Moff Gideon, and Grogu. Easy pass for me. I'm not doing the vintage collection. Vintage collection Cassian Andor, as well as the new character that was introduced in the latest episode. Easy pass for me. Vintage collection, are you going for either of those? I've already skipped the slides, but
Maybe like I sparingly buy vintage collection. It's usually on sale, on
mhm.
clearance. Um, I do like the newer stuff they bring out because they're new molds, and the new molds are
Yep,
really good. So at the
yep.
very least, I'll probably get a vintage collection Cassian.
Okay, yep. Then the standard release Cassian Andor, as well as what's her name? Bix?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It's hard to
Lot
remember
of people,
everyone's names.
lot of people got a screen crush on her, so I think that figure will do fairly well. And then a couple other figures from the Andors. We got Mon Mothma, as well as this guy whose name I'm terrible with names, especially once I'm trying to go through them quickly. Um, but Black Series is one of those things where they either get them and they nail them, or they're a total miss. Looking at all these, like face sculpts, deco, all that kind of stuff, they're really doing a good job with Black Series. I feel bad because they've had a lot of misses recently. They've had a lot of, I mean, Rancor didn't do so well. That Reva's lightsaber didn't do so well. There's been a lot of people complaining. I think they went pretty safe with everything that they announced and everything that they offered. I think they've got to build sort of that trust back up, that
Yeah,
fan base back up. Larry said, I've gotten very picky with Black Series. Yes, and I don't think you're the only one. That's part of it too. Is I'll buy Luke Skywalkers, but I don't need four versions of the same Luke Skywalker. Luckily, I was late to the party, so when they released these sort of new versions of ones that I missed, I'm still going to be able to buy them. But Wolf Traps, is that his name? Or
I thought it was
something
like
like that.
Axis Wolves.
Axis Wolves. It's Wolves something Wolves.
Oh,
Regardless,
Axe Wolves. Axe Wolves.
Axe Wolves.
Yeah,
Totally missed his name when I was watching the show. Love these characters. I have the other two.
yeah,
So I'm definitely gonna have to get this guy to sort of complete the set. I totally forgot that they released with this one. I put my order in with Mike at eCollectibles like for GI Joe 2 days ago because I already knew it was coming, and for everything else yesterday. And I totally forgot to add this one, so I'm gonna have to message him and get this one added to my order. But the Mandalorian armor deco figures are still my kind of my these are what I'll buy in Black Series,
yeah.
which is weird because I'm essentially just buying the same figures in redecos, but the heart wants what the heart wants, Austin. Um, what do you think of this guy? Is this something you're interested in, or does this
100%.
fall under the Black Series?
Yeah, like this is don't need to wait for a sale, don't need to wait for clearance. This is I'll
Okay.
buy it, I'll pre-order it. The one thing that intrigues me so much about this figure is actually the first picture is
Yep.
what he's able to hold like that. And that's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I don't know, I think the whole dual pistol thing is just really overdone with the Mandalorians. So just to see
Mm-hmm.
one, holding one like that, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I love it isn't just all blue like Koska and Bo-Katan. I like it's mostly
Yeah.
gray with spots of blue. I think it's a great look.
Yeah. And I'm a sucker for removable helmets too. Like
Yeah,
I've been a sucker for that since I was a kid. Like old GI Joe figures, if they had a removable helmet, I was like, I need that figure. So this is right up my alley, and I'm shocked that it took this long for us to get this since we've gotten the other two already. Um, but I kind of get it in the same way that like we haven't gotten all the Dreadnoks. If somebody's a big Dreadnoks fan, if you're a GI Joe guy and you want Dreadnoks, if they did just Dreadnoks, you'd be out. You wouldn't pay attention to what they did.
yeah,
So I get that they sort of do a Mandalorian figure with every sort of wave or every sort of release because it keeps people coming back. Speaking of keeping people coming back, we got the Biker Scout Trooper as well as the Jabba's Palace, Lando Calrissian. Um, these aren't for me, but I love that they're offering the Scout Trooper without a bike.
yeah,
So price point wise, if you don't want to get 8 bikes to get 8 figures, you can now get this guy. I also like that they made the effort, and they sort of, his boots are dirty. So if this is a boots on the ground trooper type character, stormtroopers are very often in the Death Star or in a Star Destroyer or whatever, so they're stark white head to toe. This guy is, in the trenches, in the weeds, in the
Yeah.
forest, as it were, on Return of the Jedi. I like that they gave him dirty boots.
Yeah, like I look at the Scout Trooper. I mean, I'm a sucker for anything Imperial Army builders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see myself pre-ordering it. It's going to be one of those ones where find it at GameStop. If it's a good price, if it's on sale, I'll buy a couple. Otherwise, maybe
Yeah,
I'll just buy one.
yeah.
I don't want to go in a tangent, but I don't know why the hell they're releasing this Lando again. I think it's a head scratcher decision to me.
Not just Lando.
Yeah,
These came out like late 2020. I want to say,
yeah.
like, was
Like
it late 2020? Like,
I can at least say with Han and Leia here, but it's like okay, it's been a couple of years. But like Lando, there's a plethora of that Lando on pegs right now because they just reissued
uh-huh.
it in archive. Like it's just bizarre. Like at least with this
I
Han and Leia, I can say I wasn't actively collecting at the time, so I didn't get these figures, and I
mhm.
want them. So like that's my own personal. Oh, I didn't get them the first time. I'll get them. But if I want that Lando, I can go buy it right now.
Yeah. I mean, these are going on the like vintage card, so they're getting that sort of photo vintage card with the bubble.
Yep.
Um, they did come out a couple years ago, but they were on sort of the standard box. So, I get, with 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, why they would re-release these.
Mhm.
I would just almost think that they would re-release these at the end of the 40th anniversary and sort of do like front load stuff that you don't have and
Yeah.
then backload with stuff that you might have missed. It seems like they front loaded stuff you might have missed, and we'll sort of see what we get later.
Yeah.
Um, I sort of made the joke with these that, yeah, I passed on these 2 years ago. So, I, you know, fool me once.
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, this guy, instant buy.
I'm not big on the Ewoks. I mean,
You're nuts. Ewoks are the best.
like I think it's so nice. But like, have we? I'm sure we must have gone Wicked before because I know we've gone other Ewok. We haven't. Wow, the fact we got other Ewoks before Wicked is actually surprising.
Now I need to backtrack and try to find the other two because I wanted him first, and I said as soon as they release this guy, that's going to open the doors for like the floodgates for me getting
Yeah,
Ewoks. As long as they don't do him, I'll be fine. We got one in that same wave, that sort of Return of the Jedi wave that had Endor Luke, Endor Han, Endor Leia, and an Ewok. And then in a Pulse Con exclusive box set, I think from 2020, there was another Ewok. So there's been two Ewoks thus far. Wicket will be the third. Hopefully he is not the last, and I'm really, really hoping that they re-release those ones that I didn't get at the time, because I'm getting this guy. So I mean, I guess I got this was
the,
this to me. The funny thing is, like Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks, these are sort of the things within Star Wars fandom that there's a lot of people that didn't like Return of the Jedi because of the Ewoks.
yeah,
I got into Star Wars with Return of the Jedi as a small kid, loved the Ewoks, and so wanted more Star Wars. I think I probably saw both of the Ewok movies before I saw New Hope.
Oh my
So
god.
so for me, the Ewoks are like they're so much part of Star Wars for me. And I get that they're not for everybody. It in the same way that the yellow and blue X-Men suits aren't for every X-Men figure. Um, but you go with what you love. You go with sort of what pulls those nostalgic heartstrings.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Like the only reason why I might grab this figure is the same reason why I want the Han and Leia is because for my photography, my backyard is basically Endor.
Yeah, you're on the island. It's so dry here. That's like the one thing that I think with toy photography that I don't have that I really wish that I did. Like I feel like moister places that
Yeah,
have like moss and more sort
everywhere.
of dense vegetation, so much easier to take pictures. I've got rocks and beige weeds and sand. I could probably do Tatooine pretty well if I'm being honest, but that might be about it.
Yeah, I got greenery everywhere, and there's moss, grass, trees everywhere. So that's why I want the Han and the Leia figures and all that, because I think it's just perfect for Endor. So
Mhm.
honestly, even though it's not high on my list, I will more than likely cave and get this figure at the very least, just for recreating scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it like if you only got this and Leia, you could recreate that scene on the log.
Yep,
And to
easy.
me, that was like that's one of the most charming scenes in all of Star Wars, where she's like sharing the food, and he's like he points a spear. He's like, "What is that? I don't. What are you gonna poke me with?" She's like, "It's food." Like, and then he adopts her as the Ewok princess, and I would love to see that. I would love to see like a short film of like what happens between Leia goes to the Ewok village and Leia with her hair down braided. She has a whole outfit that she didn't have when she got there. Who made it? Where did it come from? What's different about her than like Luke and Han and Chewie where they want to eat them, but she's their princess. Like I love it. Um then we got the vintage collection PulseCon exclusive 7-figure pack of the Figurant Dan and the Modal Nodes. Um, I mean, I'm very happy for the people that have wanted this. I don't know.
For me, because one of the reasons why I like vintage collection is because you can find a lot of the aliens for cheap.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Okay.
like cause I'm actually working on getting a bunch as just like background characters because I want my vintage figures to be very Tatooine heavy.
Hmm.
I think this is overkill.
No, this is for you. This is for you specifically. You get
Oh,
all the instruments. You get all the characters. You're good. It's one and done. It's one stop shopping
like
for the modal nodes.
I will say at the very least, like for 7 figures at 90 American, even though the
It's pretty
smaller scale
decent.
fig, it is decent. Like I said, the smaller figures here after tax retail is about 20
Hmm.
bucks. So
Yep.
that's $140
Yep.
theoretically. So being $90 American, it's not bad.
Hmm.
For a PulseCon exclusive that I have to get shipped,
Yep.
depending how the math checks out, it might be like if I bought 7 individual ones from Walmart, which isn't that bad.
Don't do the math.
I should buy it, don't look.
Never do the math. Buy what you love and commit to it. Um, moving on to GI Joe, we got a few more names. So now this is the end. This is sort of the big kicker, the last hurrah. We'll try to go through this as quickly as we can.
It's gonna be hard.
These were well, we'll talk a ton more about these, I'm sure, in more videos. So it's not the end of the world if we don't get all of our thoughts out. But the name reveals that we got in actual day two, sort of the event. So we got Hawk and Tripwire at the preview show on day one. On the brand panel, they revealed to us that we will be getting Snow Serpents, Buzzer, and the female Cobra Trooper, which I'm really excited for all of these. I think the female Cobra Trooper is great. Definitely a lot of people are going to buy a few of those. Getting another Dreadnought is great. Like I said, the fact that we're getting Dreadnought sort of staggered throughout, fantastic. This Snow Serpent, I really hope is in the same wave as Snow Job, because as I've said multiple times, I don't want one snow guy or sort of Arctic guy without sort of a counter to him. Which of these three is your favorite?
The Snow Serpent, by far. Main reason being because of the previous Snake Eyes and Timber sets. To me, that's like the snow version of them. So
Sure, yeah.
if I can get, I don't need a lot, maybe two, just two Snow Serpents.
Yeah.
If it snows, just something for photos.
Yeah, absolutely. I think two is going to be the minimum for a lot of people. I don't know how big people will go on this one though. It's kind of one of those where like if you're somewhere colder, somewhere more northern where you're gonna sort of have a lot of snow, you might go pretty heavy on these.
Yeah.
I think this will be one of those troopers where I go three. That's kind of my standard squad. My personal guard squads tend to be two, so two Crimson Bats, two Crimson Guards, so on and so forth. Yeah, I think to me, the Snow Serpent is great, but to me, the female Cobra Troopers is maybe the one that I'm most looking forward to. Then we got into digital renders of name-only reveals that we had previously. Now, a couple of these we'd had sort of grayscale 3D renderings of. The first two that we got were, of course, Rock and Roll and Bazooka. Rock and Roll is version 1 inspired, is what I'm going to say, but not an absolute sort of recreation of version 1. Bazooka looks fantastic. It's we got the pre-paint Tiger Force Patrol Tiger Force version, but I love both of these. I love both of these ones.
Now, are these ones going to be on the retro cards? So like the Walmart one? No. Okay, good.
No, these are all five of these will be standard release to the best of my knowledge.
Awesome.
And I my suspicion is that all five of these sort of renders will be a wave, but I don't know that with any certainty. The next two that we got were Torpedo and Shipwreck. Again, I think these look fantastic. Torpedo can be kind of like that original version 1 Torpedo is a little bit of a dull deco, but they've done a really good job with the hits of red as far as the really great accessory loadout. I'm really looking forward to that. Shipwreck, people have been asking for a while. I think his accessories look fantastic. My only disappointment is that I wish we could have gotten Polly with open wings.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then after that, we got the Copperhead reveal. Copperhead originally came as a driver for the water moccasin, so he was never on, he was never single carded. I think this version of it looks really, really good. Yeah. Water moccasin was not a vehicle that I had, and so I didn't have Copperhead. But I mean, this is definitely going to be a figure that I pick up when he pops up for pre-order.
Yeah.
Then they did a little bit of an update with some actual physical figures for the his tank, the female driver as well as the Coco Sigil Cobra Commander vintage inspired figure. They look fantastic. I think these look really great. The accessories that come with that female driver look great. That snake with the around the globe looks really, really good. The figure looks great. The retro inspired Cobra Commander looks fantastic. That being said, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm going to be selling mine. I'm more than happy with the modernized version that we're getting. So They showed us like I don't know, it was a 3D printed version of the driver as well, but he had like translucent pieces and stuff, which was pretty
Oh,
cool.
cool.
They've also announced that the vote for the color for the tactician will be coming up.
Oh, exciting.
So a lot to look forward to. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get a Sky Striker update though, but such is life. Slaughter's Marauders deco of barbecue. They've rebranded the Slaughter's Marauders as Mad Marauders, which I suspect comes down to money and licensing agreements. This figure looks fantastic. If you like Slaughter's Marauders deco, if you like that sort of blue and green and brown,
Love it.
um, are you getting this figure?
Yep. I barbecue. So in order of favorites, my favorite Joe's third is Shipwreck. But second, first is always a toss up between barbecue and beachhead. It just depends how I feel during the day. So I got the orange barbecue, the iconic
Mm-hmm,
look, but
mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Even if it's just as a one of, I love this look for barbecue so much.
Okay. I was never a barbecue fan. I got him because I heard all the reviews were great and the classified figure is fantastic. Um, but I'm still not a barbecue fan, so this is the only one in the wave that I passed on. Um, I passed on it for now. If they announce Spirit, because Spirit was in Slaughter's Marauders, Lowlight was in Slaughter's Marauders. There's a few really great Slaughter's Marauders
Yeah.
figures. If they do enough of them, they may get me. They may be able to pull me back in with sort of the future figures almost. I may have to backtrack in the same way that I passed on Ewoks, first time around. But we'll see. There's just so much to get. As Larry said, I'm so glad I got that his tank. Yeah, so am I. But I got the his tank, so I'm sort of looking at a figure like this, and I'm like, you got to pass on some things. This was definitely not a pass for me. The Crimson Bat. So we get sort of the two-tone red. The red matches the Crimson Twins. It will also match the standard release of the Crimson Guard. So to me, this was a no-brainer. I got a couple of these on order. The Crimson Twins are going to have their own private army between the CGs and the bats. What are your thoughts on this redeco?
I love it. I mean, lots of people, don't like redecos because you're just getting the same figure. I think redecos for army builders specifically, fantastic. I'm in.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't own any bats. I still plan on getting some at some point, but these seem to be easily accessible at the moment, so I'm not in a rush. But
Mm-hmm.
these red ones, oh God, I love the red. And it's funny because like if it was black on red, that's where I kind of I like you. It's like it's just so overdone. But suddenly when it's red on black rather, it's a little
Yeah.
bit like it's just a little too. We see it all the time, but seeing black on red,
Mm-hmm.
it's cool. I'm all for it. So like you, I'm going to get Crimson Guard. I'm going to get these guys. Won't go nuts. Probably get two of each.
And it's funny that you bring that up because I didn't even think about that when I saw this figure because I've said that so many times. Like black and red deco it is so overdone to me. There's this being, like you said, sort of black on red, not red on black,
Yeah.
just hits. And the fact that it kind of looks like a Crimson Guard, like to me, like this fits. A lot of times black and red is like a quick and easy. We'll go mainly black. We'll a couple hits of red, and we'll be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
This is no. We're gonna do the crimson of the Crimson Twins, the same crimson that is for the Crimson Guard, and then we'll add sort of the bat characteristics to it. I like that they went black instead of the sort of silver because I think it's more menacing in this instance in this deco.
Yeah.
I like that they sort of have like a barcode type of thing to the chest plate. because they've sort of set this up storytelling wise, where like these are not standard issue bats. These are sort of to the Crimson Twins spec order. So not to be confused with sort of standard rank and file, which also allows me to justify in my head buying these. Um, ugh. But yeah, they look fantastic. I love too that they give us the battle damaged option as well, like they did with the standard, which was not with the Python Patrol one, but I like that it's come back for this. And then we get sort of all the accessories and the backpack and all the arms and the pistol. So yeah, again, just a great reuse. I think not going to be for everybody, and I think for anybody that's sort of looking at the line and feeling like there's just too much, this is definitely one where they can pass.
Yeah.
But I love it, so I didn't. Larry said, I think I got 5 of these right now. Well, yeah, it's bats are one of those ones where like it's just fun to army build because they're robots too, right? So there's like, even in the cartoon they would just destroy tons of them. There was no hang up of like, oh, we could pull the heads off, we could pull the arms off. With like normal troopers, like any humans never died, but the bats just got annihilated. There was literally piles of bats by the end of some episodes. Then we got Falcon, Duke's half brother. A new character, a new figure as of the GI Joe movie. So there's people that won't necessarily go for him as a character. As a figure, he was always one of my favorites as a kid. I think they've really done him I think they've done the original figure justice in this version. Definitely one that I'm very much looking forward to. What are your thoughts on this one?
I have no real attachments to the character, but the figure looks phenomenal, so I'll get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A couple people complain about the head sculpt, which I kind of get. To me, it looks kind of like a young Kurt Russell if he was a Muppet. Like it's a little kind of doughy and ham-fisted version of like young Kurt Russell. But anyway, that shotgun looks pretty cool with the sort of articulation where you can fold it up. Very curious to see like how that might get stored, whether that will be an option or not.
Yeah.
The berets are cool. I like that they do the removable berets. So interestingly, he's got a knife molded into his web gear, but it's not removable. So there hasn't been a ton of that in the line. A lot of times when they have a knife, it's removable. It's there's a holster. So it's interesting that they've gone that way. He does have the Joe Pro communicator on his shoulder, which I'm happy about. Outback does not have a Joe Pro communicator, but it's a fantastic looking figure. Definitely one of my absolute favorite vintage figures when I was a kid. I just got my Tiger Force Outback, but I'm really, really excited to get this version as well. So what do you think about this repaint of a pre-paint?
I'm really glad I didn't go for the other one that's currently Python Patrol. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, but my biggest thing about the Python Patrol was just Toys R Us exclusive and the Toys R Us prices. It's the only reason why
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer this color scheme.
Yeah.
And it's a regular release. Instant win.
Yeah, absolutely. This was the figure that I grew up with as far as deco wise. I didn't even know that Tiger Force one existed in Europe until much, much later. Not until I was an adult collector did I even realize that there was such a thing as like a G.I. Joe that you didn't just get by going into a store in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. I didn't even realize that like the mail away things. Like my parents were just like, "Oh no, we don't do that. We don't get that." So I never had any mail aways. I never had any of that stuff. I just had whatever figures I got for, Christmas or birthday or Easter or whatever random occasion I would get a figure for.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you finished grade 5. Here's a new GI Joe, figure. But CoverGirl, I think is in a lot of ways the winner of the wave for me personally. I like that she's adding another female character to the line. I think her deco looks fantastic. I did a Kit Bash version and did a blonde haired cover girl. I'm really happy that this isn't blonde, so that one can sort of stay on my shelf and I can sort of add another. That cover girl will have to get a new name, I guess, but this will be my cover girl going forward. Um, Great accessories. Her wrench fits in her belt. She has that little sort of iPad thing that has Wolverine blueprints on it, which is the vehicle that she originally came with. And it also fits into a little holster on her leg, so she can carry that little thing around. I think they did a fantastic job with this figure. Um, what say you?
If I was being strict on my budget, which I'm never am, if I can only pick one figure, it's this one. As much as I was praising barbecue, the fact of the matter is I
Mhm.
already have a barbecue figure.
Mhm.
This figure is one of the best figures I've ever seen them release. It
Yeah.
looked incredible. One
Mhm.
thing I also want to point out is for all these figures is because they're the first ones that I know of that are going to have the windowless packaging.
Yeah.
The boxes look incredible. Absolutely incredible looking boxes. It's probably the first time I've seen the windowless packaging go, wow, I actually kind of prefer this. This looks incredible. And the fact that they did them all in different style and the CoverGirl one is very CoverGirl. I
Mhm.
love it so
Mhm.
much.
Yeah, Cover Girls was a great vintage figure, a great character, underutilized as a girl dad, I think is the term that people use. As a girl dad, my kids are always asking for like more female figures, and I
Yeah.
wish I could give them more, and so I'm very happy to get this. She looks fantastic, and I'm with you on the windowless packaging. I order almost everything online. I'm not shopping in stores. If it arrives and it's not the right thing, or it's quality control or whatever, I'm probably gonna either return it or reach out or whatever. But I would do the same in store. So I don't get too hung up on that. The package art I think looks great too. I think they're gonna have to try to find like a happy medium between um, sort of an offering that appeals to like in package collectors. Like that's kind of the problem, is like that's the most vocal minority, I think, is the mint on card guys that are like, well, I don't even know what's in the box.
Yeah.
And so I sort of get it. But Larry said, in respect, I believe, to Falcon, he needs a sidearm. Yes, that was the only complaint that I had as well. That was the only thing that I noticed. That being said, I have enough Kit Bash fodder that I'll probably be able to find something to put on that figure. Um, that wasn't a make or break for me. Um, the head's really the problem with that Falcon, but I'm sure I'll get over it. I also think like in hand these might look a lot better than they
Yeah.
potentially do on the picks. And then this guy, um, Serpentor. So this is the PulseCon exclusive. Now, as we very well know in the Northern Outposts, this is, or at least was, something that you could call into GameStop in Canada and place a pre-order for. Um, did you grab one of these? Did you order one of these? Either pre-order through Pulse or GameStop?
I was able to nab a pre-order through GameStop, so that's awesome. It's expensive, but
Yes.
I absolutely love Serpentor. I mean, he's been a favorite since I was a kid, and it's an exclusive. It comes with a really, really. Comes with his chariot, right? That's
Yeah.
so. incredible. Where and plus, there's the I got the GameStop membership, so there's a discount there. Um, it's not a price point I would feel comfortable paying all the time, but for this release, I'll do it.
That's kind of how I feel too, is that like, I'm not paying this for every figure, and I wouldn't pay this for every figure.
Mhm.
We are getting a vehicle. It's a PulseCon exclusive. I, you know, I I don't even love Serpentor, but I would hate to not get this and then have everybody else get, like, it's not a FOMO thing, but like I would hate to sort of change my mind after the fact. I've said this before. I buy when things are available at retail, and then if I change my mind between now and when this guy is in hand, I'm sure I'll be able to sell it at retail to somebody that missed it.
Yeah,
Um, but I think it looks fantastic. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not a big Serpentor fan, but the air chariot, the guns, like the loadout, the snake, um, the texture on his sort of suit, like the snake texture on the, like on the cape, everything about it just looks really really good. I'm very impressed with what they did with this figure in terms of updating it and sort of sculpting it in a 6-inch scale figure. Um, this is way better to me than the vintage figure.
yeah, like it's absolutely incredible, and there's so much you can do with them too. Like, and you look at his cape, there's scales in the cape, and
Yeah.
it's incredible, and you can remove the I call it cobra wings, even though that's absolutely not what they're called. But you can
Mm-hmm.
remove the cobra part on the back. Oh, it's such a winner to me. This is
Yeah.
like G.I. Joe Classified. I don't even consider one of my main lines, but this is one where I was like excited, and then they announced it was going to be an exclusive, and I was legitimately mad.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw the post on Northern Outpost. I got my pre-order at GameStop. All is well in the world.
Yeah. Larry says this guy is going for 200 Canadian on eBay. That's already, like, nobody even has this in hand yet. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's going to be one of those ones where, if I change my mind, which I probably won't, I could always sell it. But anyway, yeah, fantastic figures. Now, like I said, Chris McLeod from the Full Force Podcast, aka Diagnostic 80, was supposed to be here with us today. Fortunately, he was not. He was on the panel. He did get to ask a question about mid-sized vehicles, which they didn't really answer, but I'm sort of further probing to see if he can sort of get more answers from Lenny. Um, this was the last reveal, and this, I think, missed the mark. I think they missed an opportunity. I think they should have done Snow Job's rifle, sort of the Sunbow era rifle. Um, this is the last item we've got. I, what are your thoughts?
I mean, as the last reveal, I think people, if you revealed it first, I don't think anyone would care.
Yep.
So maybe that's why they did as the last reveal. It does make people go, "Oh my god, what's the last reveal?" But at the same time, it's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm okay." With all the other cool stuff they revealed, I'm not upset by any means. It's just like, "Oh, okay, well, I don't need that."
Yeah, that was what I thought too. As soon as they showed it, you know what? Actually, there was for a split second when they showed it, I was like, "Oh, this is a joke. When are they going to show us the real thing? What are they gonna show us?" But this was it. I mean, like I said, I think it was a missed opportunity. I think I would have much rather seen um, a lot of different things other than this. But it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, and that was the end of the Joe panel, and that's the end of the PulseCon reveals that we got. So all in all, I think lots of really really great stuff. Um, what are your sort of overall thoughts of PulseCon this year? Was there what was your standout? What was like maybe top item? What was the most exciting thing? Um, What was the thing that you saw and you were like, oh, I gotta get, that's the one thing if I get one thing.
Serpentor, done. Easy.
Yeah. Easy, easy.
There's a lot. Like if you eliminate, like if we just narrowed it down to like general releases, I
Mm-hmm.
probably would say CoverGirl,
Mm-hmm.
which is like rare because we just on the last time I was here, GI Joe wasn't even on my top five or on my runner
Mm-hmm.
up. It hasn't been on my top lines. Um, but with Black Series, it's just kind of like you get what's kind of expected. Like Andor show
Yeah.
came on. Of course, you're going to get Andor stuff. Nothing exciting there, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Been just mostly reissues on new cards. Nothing too exciting. But the thing I'm loving about Joe's is sure they got their repaints,
Mm-hmm.
with the bats and all that, but that's fine by me. But just getting the characters that people who grew up with in 6-inch form and having them what appears to be done incredibly well,
Yeah.
that gets me excited.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I think for me, for sort of all those reasons, right? Like that nostalgic, like, oh, finally, like I'm so happy to get this sort of this specific thing. Wicket was the one thing, and I didn't expect it. I genuinely was like watching the Black Series or the Star Wars brand panel, thinking like, okay, I'll watch this for the purpose of like knowing what they've revealed and sort of having an idea of what's going on. And and I was like, man, I gotta get that. I gotta get that little Wookiee. I gotta get that little cannibalistic murder bear on my shelf. He's one of the like I have this weird little like bendy, like wire framed bendy wicket that's probably from right around when Star Wars came out. I would probably pick up a vintage wicket as well if I saw one. Um, that wasn't going to cost me a crazy amount too. But yeah, Wicket. There's something about Wicket that I just absolutely love. And like I said, the Ewoks cartoon, the two Ewoks movies, like I just love all that stuff. I love all the Ewok stuff, so I'm happy for that stuff. Um, on that note, I will mention, of course, that all of the PulseCon standard release stuff is available currently from eCollectibles. So whether that's the retro carded X-Men stuff, one thing we didn't mention, the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, because they mentioned that sort of not at PulseCon, but a couple days before, or the Black Series stuff, the vintage stuff, the Indiana Jones stuff, so on and so forth, all available from ecollectibles.ca. I'm very, very briefly going to mention this because I'm just really, really excited about this, and I really hope we get the opportunity to get these. Mike's trying to get enough people to sort of bring in a minimum order for these mecha Ninja Turtles. These just look so cool. As a Gundam fan, these like I'm not even really a Ninja Turtles guy, but these look amazing. Definitely go check them out if you're interested in Ninja Turtles or mecha stuff. Um, yeah, just really, really great. I will also mention, of course, that Mike is doing a contest. Now, this is Northern Outpost members only, so your chances are very, very good of winning. Um, any order that includes a GI Joe classified figure will be entered into a contest for some prizes. The details will be on the Northern Outpost group. You have until next Saturday to get your order in and to comment on the post and get your chance to win. But yeah, great contest. Check out those details on the Facebook Northern Outpost group page. And anything else you got, Austin?
No, just that is I think it's been an awesome PulseCon, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of those figures.
Yeah, pre-orders, eh? That's the kicker. Is that like we all get our hopes up, and then we gotta sit and wait.
Sit and wait. Hasbro's been pretty good at getting things out at a reasonable time, so they usually overshoot drastically. Like I
Yep.
think the Obi-Wan figures were slated for like March or something crazy, and they're out. At least most of them are currently out.
Very good point. Very good point. We might see some of this stuff a lot sooner than we think. So,
Yeah.
um, Yeah, on that note, thank you guys all for joining me. Thank you, Austin. It's always a pleasure. Always fun to chat with you.
Oh, it's fun.
If you like the video, please like and subscribe. If you want to be notified when we're gonna do these, I try to post them a couple days ahead of time. So hit the little bell to get the notification for when we go live. I do try to do 2 p.m. Pacific every Sunday. Can't even remember what day it is. 2 p.m. Pacific on Sundays. So thank you for joining us, and I will see you all next week. Thanks. Bye.